It's just 4 o'clock and it's time to open up the golf committee, town of Harwich. The only person who is not present today is Paul White. And I would like, our invited guest is Roman Greer. And public comment is going to come from Paul Roycraft, who's been a member since 2009. He has submitted questions, and you can present them now.
Oh, I didn't bring a copy for myself.
Well, here.
I'll just ad lib. There's always a lot of interest by the members of what's going on with the golf course, and Roman and Dick are pretty good about sending out occasional messages. But there are those of us who actually do look for the meeting agendas and meeting minutes, and a lot of members can't actually attend this committee meeting, and you wouldn't want 700 members sitting in this room anyway. But there is interest in hearing what's going on. There are people always asking there. They see things like the little fencing has gone. They're wondering if those are going to be replaced. There's questions about the sand in the bunkers and the new practice area. What's going on with that? And so I'd like to encourage the committee to try and post the meeting minutes in a timely fashion, because the latest minutes that have been posted are from last June. So there's almost an entire year of minutes that have not been posted. And second thing is, if people do have questions or comments for the golf committee, I asked this question 10 years ago of Mr. Smith, former chair, of how do people get questions to the golf committee, and I never really got a good answer. You pretty much have to do what I'm doing today, show up in person and submit something in writing. There's no phone number, there's no email, when I've had questions in the past, sometimes I've asked them of Roman or Dick to pass them along to the committee, and I think they've done that. But these days email is so ubiquitous, it would be easy to set up an email address for the golf committee. And you wouldn't want to have to respond to every single one, but it could just be a Dropbox where people could submit questions, and if there are things that the committee should be addressing, they can do so.
Thank you. I'm a little concerned, Paul, in that the agenda for every meeting is posted
Yes.
2 days before the meeting. And on the next meeting, we approve the minutes, which are sent to the town hall, which are supposed to be posted on the webpage.
Okay. So it's someone in the town who's not doing it, it's the golf committee is submitting them and they're just not being posted.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm a little concerned about that. I certainly would welcome any input from any member in writing what they would like us to discuss at a board meeting. I mean, our agendas are very open. We look for feedback, particularly from the membership. So maybe that's a message I need to get out to the members. Thank you. But thank you for doing it.
Martha, just in light with
Yes.
what Paul said, is there any reason why we couldn't get an email address for the golf committee and have it sent to all the members? I assume the town has.
Very easy to do, yeah.
Maybe I could ask downstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be easy to do.
Yeah.
Just have a general golf committee.
That would be great,
Yeah.
because we are looking for input. Yes.
Just a comment, piggybacking on your comment. We as committee members, Paul, don't get sometimes any more information than you do. We rely on Roman. I happened to see the post being taken down, but I didn't get any specific information. We're relying on Roman, and I think he's very willing to share what is going on during the month before we meet. But it's important that we have that information, and we're happy to pass that on to you.
Does the director's report
that Roman sends to us in advance of the meeting, does that get posted on the golf committee website as well with the agenda?
It
No.
can.
Maybe we should.
It's easy to do that, yeah.
Because it's a nice synopsis of updates on what's going on. Roman provides that to us in advance of the meeting every month. And when we committee members get the formal agenda, that attachment's usually there as well.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
But it's also, in terms of the minutes not being posted from our last meeting, reading
Yeah,
the document, the committee is supposed to, according to the document, have a clerk.
we do have one,
So where's the clerk?
Michael.
Mike,
Well, that's,
not the clerk.
he's
He's
not a
the
member of the
secretary.
committee, so he really can't,
He's
he
not the
really
clerk, he's
can't be the
secretary.
clerk.
Yeah,
He's
the
secretary.
For the, yeah, so that's an elected position among the committee, so when you elect your committee positions, in July, I think you need to elect a chair, a vice chair, and a clerk are the three positions you need to elect.
In my 10 years of being on the board, we have never voted for a clerk.
No, and I understand that, and Michael's been very good about taking on the responsibility of publishing the minutes from each meeting, but it's, to a certain extent, it's really a favor he's doing us, and that he's not really the clerk of the golf committee.
No. But
And
he's
he
paid
is,
for
He's
it,
getting
Steve.
Well, his job is to do the minutes, that's all. His job is just
Oh,
to do the
okay.
minutes. So if he does the minutes, but the clerk is supposed to post all the agendas and post the minutes to the town website, all that stuff.
Well, Mike has offered to post the minutes downtown,
okay.
so.
I think that would be a job for, in the future for the clerk. Well, when you elect one in July, I think that'd be the appropriate for the clerk to post the agendas, post the minutes. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's the clerk's job, is to do all those public postings.
Well,
And to clarify with Mike, what's a reasonable turnaround? I mean, because we
Right.
met over a month ago, 5 weeks ago, and if what this gentleman said is true, I must admit, I haven't even looked
Well, it's-
on the
it's been
website myself.
almost a year.
But if the minutes aren't there 5 weeks later,
can't even
then,
find them.
you get the minutes when I get them.
oh, I know, but what I'm saying is, we need to figure out an operational / administrative process, whether it's Michael or somebody else, to see to it that they get up there in a timely fashion, so the public has the opportunity to review the minutes from the prior meeting and be prepared for the next meeting and/or suggest agenda items, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we should set a time frame of, I don't know, a week or two, whatever it is, post-meeting, that the minutes should be there. And if that's too much of a burden with all of his other responsibilities for Michael to do, then so be it. We need to, as a committee, figure out.
Well,
How we're gonna do.
I think Mike should just, his responsibility really is just to do the minutes and prepare them and send them to the committee. Once the committee approves them, it should be the committee clerk that then posts them. Because you've had the minutes in your possession, you've approved them, then the clerk should then take them to the appropriate place. I'm not even sure, I think they probably just email them to Caleb or somebody to post on the
But
website.
we'll have
once
a
they
clerk in July.
Yeah.
But for instance, in our last meeting, have we received the minutes? Because one thing on the agenda of every
Yeah.
meeting
There,
is to,
you got them.
okay.
I think you're up to date on approval of minutes, just not
Yes.
posting them.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they just didn't get posted
Yeah.
on
Right.
the website,
Can't
that's
even
why
find
you
where they
couldn't find
post on the website.
We as committee members saw
I
them,
think
but you
they're
didn't.
by the, where the agenda is.
Coming
There's like
to
a separate
the
column that's where the
minutes,
agenda
could
is,
I,
then the minutes.
you have all received the minutes of April 25th. Would somebody please approve them?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. New business, monthly report, Roman.
Okay, so it's pretty simple. So I started off with a list of events that we've had at the golf course. and the number of participants, and then upcoming events. So we've had some of our bigger events of the year. Harwich Fire Association, Harwich Fire Association is the largest event at 144 participants. At the Harwich Police Association, the Salute Military Golf Association, and then since I did write this up, I wrote this up for last week, we've also had the member that had 100 golfers in it last Thursday. So, and then upcoming events, you'll see there, I don't need to read them, but it's some of the junior highlights also. We had a first tee play day that was actually rescheduled for today, so they're on the golf course right now going 3 holes. And we had yesterday the Cape and Islands Girls Championship, high school championship. And then on the 24th of June, we'll have the drive, chip, and putt qualifier. As far as the staff update goes, with all those events in mind, I want to recognize our pro, Dick Fagan, for administering all the tournaments and leagues at Cranberry Valley. He does a great job, professionalism, friendliness, patience with every event. And really, to steal the name from the tournament software that we use, Golf Genius, he's our Golf Genius. I want to really appreciate him and recognize him for all the hard work he does. He puts on really great events at the golf course, from the weekly tournaments to the majors. So thank you to Dick Fagan. And then he does. And then as far as the restaurant update, I'm getting great reviews on the food and the service this year. Really a big improvement. The Fire Association made a big point of complimenting Jake's on their breakfast and box lunches. Breakfast sandwiches and taco bar were selected for the Military Golf Association. That just looked so good. I had to fight myself off the taco bar, but it was pretty good. And then the member had chicken parm and lasagna and garlic bread. And then we got just a lineup with great comments. So they have 3 new cooks in the restaurant. I mentioned that I was going to give an update tonight, so they wanted to pass along their 3 new cooks. Have really been a game changer for them. They had staffing issues last year, and so that's been huge. Overall, staffing levels are better. Overall, just great effort from them. I'm working with their management right now to convert their propane grill to an electric grill, and we're going to be doing that hopefully at the end of this week or next week. We've got it on order. It's a pretty complicated conversion because we have to have an electrician come in. They're probably going to have the restaurant offline for a weekday, either late this week or early next week, to make that conversion. But I want to thank Peter, Kate, and Ward from Jake's, because they've done a great job this year, really stepping up.
Roman, can I ask a question
Yes.
about the restaurant? Is the restaurant, do you view the restaurant as like your responsibility, or is that like it's just another town asset that happens to be located at the golf course that you are the director of? And I asked the question from the concept of like, how does the town think about the restaurant, and
Yeah,
what are
so-
the goals for
Well,
it?
the answer is probably both. I'm supposed to oversee that the contract's being upheld, and so I do oversee that daily. They're sticking to what's contractually obligated, and then and so there's nobody from the town that comes down and oversees it. It's my daily oversight
Okay.
of the contract.
And our goal with it is to make sure there's food available, like breakfast, lunchtime, and that's what contractually we've aligned with them?
Yes, yeah, so they have certain hours that they're contractually obligated to be open, and really, it's a service to our customers, so, it's really working with them to make sure that they're open and available for our customers,
Okay.
according to the contract.
Roman, do they have set hours now?
Yeah, so they do, and then, they have set hours, the kitchen's open, they have set hours, the bar's open, and then they will extend those when business is good.
As needed.
So they'll stay, if they have people sit at the bar, they'll stay open, or if people are still coming in, they'll stay open. And then on rainy, dreary days, they won't, they'll close. And then it's really, the contract allows me to kind of work with them on if it's a rain out day, that they can close the kitchen early, things like that.
Sure.
Roman, what are their contractual hours?
Off the top of my head, I think it's kitchen till 4, and then bar service till 6, but the dates change. I know they have different, with Memorial Day coming up, well, it'll be different. I believe it's kitchen till 4, bar till 6, I don't know.
And what's the start, Roman?
It's half an hour before our first tea time.
I would suggest that the hours or when, if that, they are in fact open, be posted. Because I think people don't really know if they are open or not. Are they serving till 4? And if they are, we should say that, or they should say that.
Okay.
Just a,
Yeah, I can mention it to them. They have a chalkboard in the hallway there they can post hours on, things like that, or, you know.
but typically, if you're going to go to a golf course, you would want to know if you're going to be able to get a meal at 4 o'clock, say, based on your tea time.
Sure.
I think it might be helpful.
And just about the first tee, the kids are out there now.
Yes.
Do we have a relationship with the first tee that's in Norton at the?
Yes, we do. So our program is run and administered by the First Tee Massachusetts. So yeah, that's their home base is in Norton.
Right.
But we're a satellite chapter of their program.
Okay, so they can play in.
Oh, so you mean for play, like reciprocal play?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, not necessarily that. I don't think they have that, but, what they have is, all the kids that are involved in the First Tee program are members of a Youth on Course program where they can play any other participating Youth on Course, facility for $5. So there's and you know, that's usually got certain parameters. Like our golf course offers access to juniors, after 4 o'clock for Youth on Course, rounds at $5. But that $5 is then subsidized by Mass Golf, where they pay another $7 to us for subsidize the kids around.
Okay.
And then real fast, my last thing on here is the membership update. We are, as of today, we're up 17 annual passes from last year. Mostly, the strongest category is the Harwich renewals. We're up 44 in Harwich resident renewals. But very, very, very close. We've been riding that line very close to last year throughout. So,
What's the actual number?
the actual number for FY23 to date is 1151. And this time last year, we were 1133. And that's what I've got, Martha.
I knew you were going to bring up the capital projects.
Yes.
Roman, can I just ask a question? Especially now as we get into the real busy season, do you have I know, I think the allocation or the distribution of tee times is something like 60, 70, 30 or
70-30 weekdays in general, and
65
60-40
on the
on weekends in general.
Is that contingent on the number, or are you using the excess list as a guide in determining whether that percentage would change?
So, yeah, I mean, that percentage has not changed in a few years, but if there was a drastic change to the number of annual passes sold, I'd have to look at it. Really, the driver there is our revenue forecasting the town gives us, and that we have enough available tee times to meet our tee time revenue goals. But you know, we've kind of set in that model for a few years now, that 60-40, 70-30, and you know, on Wednesdays with the sweep it's more like 80-20, I think. But yeah, that's kind of a line there. Where if we sold, say, an extra 50 or 100 annual passes, then that revenue would then cover some more greens fees being allocated to annual pass holders.
So it's not how many people are going into overflow, it's more the
No.
revenue
Yeah,
commitment?
revenue. Yeah. And we've had very little overflow this year, I think. You've been on it, Jack. 'Cause the guys you played with are at 9.5 points.
No, I'm not complaining, I'm not complaining.
So, but no, we had very little of overflow. But then again, this weekend is really the start of it. Memorial Day
Right.
weekend
Yeah.
is a whole new game changer. So it's time to start managing points and things
Right.
like that.
Beth?
I've seen on the T sheet a couple of times, Roman, where one person has been allowed to go into the foursome slot,
Okay,
which spoils it for a foursome.
oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, so we have rules where that cannot happen, but where you'll see it happen is probably where, it was a foursome or a threesome, and then people call and cancel.
Now, this is one guy listed for Friday at 6 in the morning, and I've seen it other times, so you couldn't.
Okay, I'll look at that.
Thank you.
Our system does not allow, so
Okay,
that has to be an override from our system will not allow it.
okay.
So, I'm not sure
That's good.
why that is. But, yeah, the system, if you put in as a single, put in with 0 points, and you wanted, a morning tea time, it would not accommodate you,
Okay,
because, that's one of the rules for the system.
good to know. Thank you.
More often than not, that's a cancellation situation, but I'm not sure, I will look at it. Roman.
Roman, would that person be able to get a tea time if no one else wanted that tea time?
Well, so, no, they wouldn't, in advance, the day of play, kind of anything goes. So what we would encourage them to do is, we'd encourage them to try to group up with somebody, if they called, we try to pair them up with another group, but we would not reserve a full foursome just for a single until the day of play. The day of play, anybody can go anywhere just to fill spots.
Is that true of twosomes as well?
No, it's not. So in the tea time system, you can request as a twosome and be awarded a twosome tea time. Yeah, it'll try first to pair you up with another two, but if there's an odd two, it will give you tea time. You want to get into the capital?
Yes.
All right. I'll provide you with an internal document we use. I know this is informal, but I thought it'd be helpful to see because, I worked on this with the golf committee years back, and it shows it shows the 4 different funding, lines we have, and then kind of what's been done out of those 4 lines and what we have planned. So, so you can see the history there. It starts at 2017. For this upcoming year, I mean, this year's a big year for us, because we're gonna be going to, all the capital outlay meetings and to the select board, to promote our irrigation upgrade for FY '25. But then, the upcoming year in July, FY '24, we're still accumulating funds there. We do have a back of the range, netting scheduled and restaurant equipment purchase out of the, Pro Shop revolving fund. The infrastructure fund has just been completely dedicated to the car barn project debt since its inception. And then also out of the budget, there's just some smaller purchases as well scheduled. So just want to make you familiar with this document, and I'll take any questions. Then, right at the end, then I have ideas there that we're going to pursue on the town's 5-year capital plan. So irrigation system upgrade, that's on the capital plan for this year. But then in FY '29, our new projects we would put on this, we would promote this year for the 5th year of the town's 5-year capital plan.
So just so I can wrap my head around the different buckets that are
Yeah.
on here. The town's capital budget is outside of these 4.
No,
buckets?
I mean, in general, golf pays for golf, as has been the town's mantra.
Yep.
And so, no, so like if you see the infrastructure fund there, the 3rd column,
Yep.
that's where we're paying the debt service for our big capital project, building
Yep.
the car barn.
Yep.
And then, anything else in here, anything else the golf course does will have to be on here, will have to be funded from one of these funds.
When will the cart barn be paid off?
So, that's a good question. So it's a 20-year bond that's to be paid off in 2038. But we do have some ideas. So right now the town doesn't have a finance director. I think they just hired one. I haven't met the new finance director yet. But I've discussed with previous finance directors some ideas. We may choose to pay off that debt early with the accumulation of funds that we've been accumulating towards the new irrigation system. So I have ideas and on maybe how to handle our debt and then handle new debts going forward. But I've requested a meeting with the town administrator and the new finance director to discuss. But that is the fact. Right now, that debt service goes till 2038.
The bond was floated by the town of Harwich, not
Yes.
Cranberry Valley Golf.
Right, yeah,
Course.
and it was bundled with other projects too, yeah.
I mean, I would think a bond issued in 2018 would have a very good interest rate for the town, so I don't know why the town would want to pay that off.
Well, you know,
And then take out other debt to do something
know.
else, they just figure out how to move money around
It
versus,
may be just moving money around,
Yeah.
but where, you know, if we say we pay the town our obligation, the town may choose to continue paying it, but we're considered paid off on it.
yeah,
could
that
be
makes
the case,
sense, yeah, okay.
Where do you think the new debt service will come from?
So we, if you see here in the, so, you know, in the golf improvement fund side of it, since FY '22, we've been accumulating funds. So by the end of this fiscal year, I think we're gonna have about $500,000 in the golf improvement fund. So if they would like to see us continue paying the debt in the car barn out of that infrastructure fund, we would then have $500,000 towards new debt. And so, you know, there's really options there that are beyond the golf department. So it's really opportunities for the new finance director and the town administration to really decide how they want to handle our debt. But we are in a good position with $500,000 up front and then funding mechanisms to pay that debt going forward.
But do you have, excuse me, Cal, do you have any say in how that, or is it all done at the town administrator?
Well, so I'll have a meeting with it. It's really, no, I don't have say in it. What I'll do is I'll present options. I'll present our ideas and options, but it's not a final say for me, definitely not. Town administration will work with the finance director. But we're in a good position with our funding sources, so we can definitely confidently say we can fund the debt.
Could you share some of it, or maybe you haven't developed your ideas for what you would like to do?
Yeah, well, so the initial idea was to continue paying the car barn debt out of the capital fund, that it was set up, that fund was set up to pay that debt. It's a descending debt, so at some point here, we're actually gonna start gaining some balance in that account. And then, you know, we have $500,000, like I said, built up in the golf improvement fund to get ahead of paying debt service payments. So really, beyond that, no, it's gonna be up to the town administrator, the select board, and the finance director to really decide how they wanna do it. But we're in a good position when we promote these projects to capital outlay to say, here's our funding sources, and here's the balances in our accounts, and we can. What they want to hear from us is that we can afford the debt service is the main thing.
I guess what I was asking, I probably didn't say it in a very good way, but what projects do you have in mind?
Oh, I'm talking about the irrigation. I thought we were talking about the irrigation upgrade. So what projects do I have in mind for what? For
Infrastructure.
Oh, well, all right. Well, so in general, what I think is what I'd like to see going forward is in the infrastructure fund. I think that should be for strictly infrastructure projects, and that's what the irrigation system is. That'd be an infrastructure project. And I'd like to see the golf improvement fund really dedicated to green grass playability projects on the golf course. But right now, we're kind of constrained by the fact that where the funding sources are coming from. Right now, the funding source for the for the irrigation upgrade, the funding source will be the golf improvement fund at this point.
But the irrigation system upgrade, I think the estimate, at least the last one I saw, was like $1.5 million for that upgrade. If you annualize that and account how do you know what the amortization of that will be on a yearly basis going forward?
Well, I don't. So I don't really. Again, so I had discussions with our two previous finance directors. We've been through a few of them in the last couple of months. So we were kind of getting somewhere with that, but no. Each of them, both Carol and Anne Marie, were both had ideas on this, but what the town administrator will likely do is deal with the new finance director on this, and really work out numbers there. So I've been told to accumulate our funds, have funding ready, be able to go in and tell them, yes, we do have the funding sources to pay for this project, and then it's really gonna be up to a meeting with them to decide how they wanna do it.
Can you tell me what green grass improvement projects are?
Yeah, I mean, so they'd be like bunkers, tees,
Oh.
I mean, playability stuff, just things that would affect the playability of the golf course.
So the bunker project is not completed yet then?
Well, no, so what I have on here for FY '29, what I'm gonna promote for the town's capital project FY '29 would be a full bunker renovation. What we did, this past year was we picked 18 bunkers or 17 bunkers that were like the most played, and we just resurfaced them. The big, major bunker renovation would include drainage, so we'd go in and really dig them out, reshape them if needed. We'd hire an architect, really take a look at them and see if there's any bunkers that they should be taken out or reshaped based on playability trends. But the main thing is really digging them out, putting in a new drainage system in them. The current drainage system, you know, it was kind of a trend about 15 or 20 years ago to use this netting lining. It's really it doesn't suit us long term, because I don't know if you've been in any bunkers lately, you can see it coming
Oh,
up.
sure.
I've spent too much time there.
Yeah.
Well, so, you know,
Just the
a golf course like ours that, where we don't hand rake our bunkers, our staff doesn't hand rake them. We go in there with a machine, and the machine digs up the netting if it's low enough. So that it doesn't really work very well for us. They do need their drainage addressed, and you know there are some good new trends in golf course construction where, you know, really it's really the new trends really go backwards. Where back some time where the new big trend that's really working well with keeping the stones down into the ground and acting well for drainage is lining them with sod on the bottom, upside down sod, like setting sod. So it's an organic method of doing it, and that way the stones don't come up when it rains and with moisture. So there's some good things out there, and what you'll see in FY '29, I am promoting a complete bunker renovation that'll include an architect and the new drainage in all of them.
When would that be?
FY '29, so,
What do you think the cost of that would be, Tom?
you know, for right now dollars, I think it'd be about $1.5 million.
Is it an option to, instead of doing big bang, to do what you're saying, like bring in an architect and get a design and then just roll it for 5 years? Instead of starting in '29, start in '24 and do 20% or 10% of the holes?
Well, it could be, but currently the town just passed a 5-year capital plan where things can't, anything over $50,000 has to be 5 years out. It's for financial planning, it just does. There's an emergency clause in that where we can take it to town meeting, get 2/3 vote at town meeting
Yeah.
to move something up on that plan. But
Yeah.
really, we've been told that's emergencies only, they want plan.
That 5-year capital plan that was passed at the town meeting,
Yeah.
it says you can't put anything into that.
So it used to be a capital budget that was very fluid.
Right.
No, the new capital plan, everything we're putting on it is for year 6, basically,
Oh,
that will
wow.
be voted on for now for year 5, yes, and there's no
I didn't
ability to
come away with
rush
that
anything.
So you have the irrigation update for $1.5 million in that plan,
So it's been in that
But
plan,
that's-
it's been
yeah.
working its way up that plan, yes.
but that's really the only big
That's the only one,
thing then when I look at this list.
yeah.
Interesting.
Is there any way, since, in a sense, we are saying we are almost self-funded, to take control of what we do?
You mean,
So that we can swap things around, adjust things, even though we're planning for that in that year?
well, no, I mean, so this was a charter change with the town, so, you know, no, I don't think so. I mean, I believe, everything we do is under the town charter. And so that was a charter change. It took 2 years at the ballots to make that change from the capital budget to the capital plan. So as far as I've been told, no. I mean, I'm told when it's time to submit capital projects, anything over $50,000, anything new is for year 6 on that plan.
So even like the 3-hole course that we're paying money, that really can't be done until,
Well, no, here's one thing that we're working on there, is so that course has always had, that plan has always had a component where we would seek grants for that, and so we've been in touch with some charities and some grants, so if something came up, we could apply for those grants and those charities, and if it turned out that something was doable, I mean, I don't wanna get ahead of things, I know it's down further on the budget, on the agenda here. But, if it turns out something is doable, where, we get a sizable grant, or, one of the companies we've been engaged in, they actually come in and build it for you. It's a golf course, builder company, a construction company. So if that's the case, yes, I think something like that could possibly be an emergency type situation where if we had to step up and we could take advantage of a grant by stepping up and with a little bit of funding.
Yep.
I think the town will look at that favorably because we'd be gaining such an asset, instead of losing it.
Yep.
So if I understand you correctly, 29 is the first year you can put any item on the capital plan that we might want to consider.
Yes.
I don't believe that's correct. I do not believe that the capital plan was approved at town meeting as a hard and fast plan.
Yeah,
It was a forecast, there was a lot of feedback. It was recommended by the finance committee, 8-0, that it not be accepted
Well,
as a
this,
hard
I
and
mean, this
fast.
wasn't, I'm not discussing anything new from this past town meeting, this was like 2020 town meeting.
Yeah,
So
but
we're not,
the most recent town meeting, it was not accepted as a fait accompli.
all right, well, maybe something's changed. I do have a department head meeting tomorrow that's gonna discuss town meeting and implications for town meeting, so we'll see. But the capital plan that I've been presenting, since 2020 has had on it that, the only thing you can put new on it is year 6.
So Norman, if there were things that, on the spreadsheet you shared with us, if you could ask for something before 29, what would that be?
Well,
How would you
so-
prioritize these
Yeah,
things?
so we're in a kind of a limbo right here based on that financial discussion, and we have been on exactly what we have for money and what's gonna be tied up in debt service. So right now, we really need an answer on that, and so, because that's gonna dictate all of our funding. So, I really don't have an answer for that. I submitted a report to the town administrator this week that basically said, I need this meeting I need you guys to help us with a financial discussion and a debt service discussion ASAP, so we can plan for the future.
Let me ask a question in a different way. So in my career, I worked in corporate finance, and you always had rules of thumb. To run this type of business, that you should spend about X percent, and percent, sometimes percent of sales or percent of, different metrics. But do you have a rule of thumb in your mind annually? And sometimes you have big chunks, like a cart bar and all that, it's a big chunk. But is there an amount that you think of that if we're not spending that on average over a 5-year period, we're underinvesting in the course? And about what's that amount, so we can then look at this and say, gosh, we're right on track, or wait, we're way underinvesting. And because underinvesting doesn't hit you in the day you do it, but 5 years later, all of a sudden the course isn't the top course we want it to be, and we say, oh, geez, had we only
Right.
fought for those dollars 5 years ago, we'd be in a better place now.
Yeah, no, so we do, so in our operating budget, I think most of the money that we actually need for upkeep is in our operating budget, where we have money annually to work on tees, to work on cart paths, things like that. And so, really, that's where there's you'll see on here that one thing we underfunded basically out of our operating budget was bunker maintenance, and that's why we had to put $75,000 in to kind of catch up, because our operating budget had us falling behind on that number. Cart path, same thing. So that's why we've prioritized. You'll see on the far right column, we've prioritized the cart path resurfacing, because I think that's past its time. So yeah, I know what you're saying, and I think each different each element of the golf course has a lifespan, and so based on usage, the driving range would need to be resodded every 5 years. Bunkers have a lifespan of 5 to 8 years basically before they need to be refaced, based on how much each one's used. And so in the operating budget, we try to cover most of that. And so basically, out of the capital projects is opportunities for like next level stuff. We don't want to have just annual upkeep
Yeah.
in that. So I think as far as the annual upkeep goes, that should all be covered in the operating budget, and we should be above and beyond.
So if I understand, just so I make sure I understand your spreadsheet, over, under the column budget, for fiscal year '24, you have resurface cart paths,
And extension.
construction keep, T-cover,
Yep,
motorized spreader, and a dingo.
yeah, those are both, maintenance, the equipment.
So those are considered capital expenditures from the town's perspective? Is that-
Yes,
is that
well,
correct?
so those, well, we do have a line in our budget called capital outlay, so some of that goes in here, but if it's not a $50,000.
But that's different than the capital outlay plan that was approved, theoretically
It is,
approved
yeah,
at the town
it's a little
meeting.
confusing, yes. So we have $73,000 in our budget, in our operating budget
For
for
capital?
capital needs, yeah. But all under $50,000 projects.
Oh, okay.
Anything over 50 has to be on the town's capital plan.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is all under 50 and paid out of the budget.
And do you have a plan to, I assume this means that this work will occur this year, like the resurface, the cart path?
Yep,
Path
starting
and
in July.
extension?
Yes, from FY '24, which means in July, yes.
Are you extending any cart paths?
Yeah, so I mean, we're following Mark Mundrum's plan, cart path master plan from 2011, I believe it's from, or 2010. Yeah, so we're gonna resurface some and then extend some where needed. But I think the main focus is to be resurfacing.
But do you have a characterization of what that entails in more detail than
No,
just?
No, so I'm gonna work with I'm working with Sean Fernandez right now, our maintenance crew, and we're gonna identify, there's a certain amount of money here in the budget. We'll identify where the real trouble spots are on the cart paths and need to be resurfaced, because I know if you've ridden carts, we've got a lot of root intrusion on the cart paths, and then a lot of them do need work. And then if there are areas where the cart paths need extensions, once again, we have a master plan that we're working off of for cart paths, and there were extensions recommended there that just help wear and tear. So, just help wear and tear on the golf course. So what I'm planning is a few years in a row of doing cart path extensions and resurfacing, and just start checking off a list, where the highest priorities are.
Roman, are you still planning to extend the cart path on 10? And we talked about on 1 as well. 10 was going up along the left
Yeah,
side.
so that wouldn't be an extension, that I do have that up here where it was kind of pulled off the plan in red. That was gonna be a whole separate project, and we've prioritized, instead of doing a whole new project, really working on resurfacing the paths we currently have, instead of new ones, because that was, they'll say hole 10, that was 830 linear feet. That'd be well over $50,000 at this point. Sometime it's 41,000 in FY '21. So yeah, so what we've done, we've prioritized, instead of new projects, really working on the cart paths as they are right now, and resurfacing them, and just having extensions where they were recommended.
So by we, you mean you?
Myself and Sean, our management team, yeah, myself, Sean, Dick Fagan, and Rob Donovan, our assistant superintendent, yes.
Jeff,
Can I ask a question, Roman?
Yes.
There are lots of areas when we're walking and we're pushing carts where we have to go from like 15 to 16, where there's really rough terrain. We don't need cart paths, but is there a way to get on that list to have like walking paths made a little more stable and less